So someone asked me to make a virtual desktop tutorial on best settings, etc. So I'm gonna start with this thing right here. You're gonna make sure that always this is up to date. Play on an Ethernet internet always, because you can use wireless, but preferably use Ethernet so you don't disconnect occasionally, I guess. So when you get Virtual Desktop Streamer, if you have a MetaQuest headset, type out your MetaQuest username. You can find it by going here. I have my headset currently connected. You can find your username by clicking this and then finding it at this @ right here. That's where you find your username. Type it in here. Now we're going to move on to bindings, which really doesn't really matter. Options. Now, preferred codec. This really just depends on basically your internet speed and whichever one that really works best with your computer. I suggest you go through all of these and test them out in VR or whatever game. And I have a Quest 2 and I think H.264 works for me best. And if you hover over these for a little bit, it tells you the details it uses, as well as this. So it tells you to use it on 10-bit codecs only. These two. These only work with these two. I use H.264. A lot of people say they don't recommend the plus one or HEVC, but I use H.264. Allow remote connections. It's just to allow your headset, or I think that's to allow your headset connect to a different or if your headset is connected to a different Wi-Fi and your PC is connected to a different Wi-Fi, it still allows it to connect. Encrypt local traffic. I'm not sure what that does, so I just keep it off mainly, but it doesn't really do anything when I had it on at one point. Automatically adjust bitrate. Keep that on. I'll explain later on what that does. Start with Windows. It just starts up with your PC. Starts up with your PC, but minimized in this arrow. Use touch input. If I had this checked off, for some reason it wouldn't interact with my PC at all. For example, if I turn this off, go here and connect to my virtual desktop, which is in here. My PC is connected. Well, I guess it's working now. Let's see if holding right click works. Okay, so it does work. You click B on your right controller to right click, and then trigger to just click and drag. I guess that works. So now that I know that's working, I'm going to use it. Back to my desktop. Open XR Runtime. I have that on Steam VR. Gamepad emulation, Xbox. Audio streaming, VR headset only. Use virtual audio driver, turn that on. Use touch input. It really just on preference. Lock computer and disconnect, I have that off because I don't really like that option. Auto select microphone, always turn that on. Ask for computer access, turn this on. Keep that on. Advanced, I use FOV stencil. The details are right here. I guess turn that on whenever you need this. Boost game priority, I don't recommend it unless what this details say. Media, just that. About, this is your specs, what kind of headset, codec you're using, latency that you have. If this is about 100 or 200, try to keep that low or get better internet. Processor, hardware encoder, that's RAM, operating system, etc. I suggest you using Ethernet. Always use Ethernet. If you don't, it's okay. It's fine. If you don't have internet, it's just fine. Auto adjust bitrate, that's the setting I was going to explain later. Remote routing, regular NAT, yeah. Okay, now on to virtual desktop settings. In virtual desktop, inside the headset. What you see now is the computers. This is my computer that I'm connected. This says this because my Ethernet isn't gigabit apparently, but that's fine. It really doesn't matter. This is just your environments that you want to choose. I have mine on pass-through so I can see my surroundings, but since I'm using a Quest 2, it's not going to see for you. Input, just copy all of these. These are my, if you want hand tracking, sure, you can turn that, but it's just, virtual desktop doesn't really prioritize tracking for some reason, but it's okay, it works. And when you want to turn that on, skip to streaming and turn on forward tracking data to PC, and don't turn any of these on. Back to settings, auto connect, so your headset can auto connect to virtual desktop. Show game tabs on connect, turn that on. Use optimal resolution, turn that on as well. Environment quality, have that low unless you're using pass-through like me if you want. Frame rate, since I'm using a gaming laptop, it doesn't really get as much high frame rates, so I use 72 frames. But if you have a high-end gaming tower, you might as well use 90 frames per second. Screen brightness, that's just to change the brightness of the virtual desktops. Dynamic lighting, I have mine always enabled. Audio, background music when disconnected, I turn that on when my headset disconnects from my PC for a certain amount of time. Wireless people. Microphone pass-through, I'm not sure what that does, but it's always been on for me and never gave me a problem. Noise cancellation, keep that on, keep this at 100%. Allow custom, keep this off. Always turn this off, never have this on. It's actually annoying, and just readjust your boundary for a Quest at least. Blue squawk rates, ooh, I should turn that on, but turn this on whenever you're recording your gameplay on VR. Copy screenshots to desktop, turn that off, because when you take a screenshot it'll copy onto your desktop and that gets annoying. Increase color vibrance, it just changes the color into a more vibranic kind of look. Remove headlock delay, I think it's this headlock. The headlock, if I turn this on, it's gonna instantly snap to my head, while if I click trigger again, which weird. Remove headlock delay, keep that off. Just keep it off. I don't know what's going on with that. Desktop bitrate, I usually have mine at 4.0 because I can see my desktop completely just fine. But if you're playing a video through here, you might want to put it to 10 or 20. But I keep mine on 4 because I don't really use. VR graphics quality, as this says right here on the right side, if you have a bad graphics card or low end, I suggest you use low. Do not use potato because that just looks horrible unless your PC is that bad. I use medium, that's an RTX 4050. I don't use high because my PC is a gaming laptop, again not a tower. Medium is good quality for as I know, because it's pretty decent on a Quest 2, but if you're on a Quest 3, try to use high, but make sure you got a good PC for it. VR frame rate, this is the FPS of your VR. I forgot to mention that this is the FPS on your headset. You can change your headset to have 90 frames or 60 frames. I don't suggest 60 frames because it weirdly flashes a little bit, so I keep mine on 72. I keep mine matching my VR frame rate at 72 as well. Now for the automatic bitrate adjustment, if I change this to max, the dark spot right here is not going to allow it to increase any further. So my Ethernet right now is giving me 38 megabytes per second because I'm using an extended instead of my home router. So I would keep mine around 35. Just have a little bit before the underlined part right here. Synchronous Space Warp SSW, I have that disabled. It's really just for your environment. Or I mean, yeah, right here for frame rates. Yeah, it's kind of useless. Advanced options, Snapdragon Game Super Resolution, turn that on for a very more crisp picture in your headset. In the game, video buffering, turn that on, always have that on. Center to play stage tracking, keep that off. It also just readjusts constantly. Track controllers, always have that on. Make sure, if you have that off and you're wondering, oh no, why is my controllers not tracking, make sure this is turned on in Virtual Desktop. Forward tracking data PC. If you don't have trackers, you could turn this on. Click yes. You could turn this on and click emulate SteamVR Vive trackers. Now you'll have emulated trackers on your Virtual Desktop, so you can calibrate to have estimated full body tracking. It works really well. I personally used it when I didn't have trackers and it worked pretty well, but you're gonna have to restart to turn them off. I keep them off because I have my own full body trackers now. Increase color vibrance, I turn this on. This is for your in-game colors. This makes the game look so much better in colors, in dark areas and in lighter areas. I just suggest it a lot. This makes the dark colors very dark. I don't suggest it at all. It really is weird. Show performance overlay. I only turn this on when I want to see my performance. For example, if I double click my thumbs, I don't think it'll show right now unless I launch SteamVR. It just shows you your performance. I'm not sure if you can see it. Yeah, it's right there on the bottom. That right there on the bottom, it shows you your stuff, your latency, MS, frame rate, your internet type, the MS, the render resolution, the graphics quality, etc. PC, Ethernet, yeah. I turn it on just to see my latency most of the time, just to see if it's good. Videos, that's just videos in your folders. And yeah, that's it. You just start SteamVR. Now you're in SteamVR. I hope this helped. Like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.